Hey guys, Stephen Cox here, and it's kind of a sad day for the music world, and I guess it has been for a couple days. But basically, Chick Corea, just one of the most influential musicians of the, I don't know, past several decades, really has been. He's been an amazing musician, amazing writer, amazing composer, but unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. And so I just thought today would be a good time to kind of go over his music, kind of how it's inspired me, how to play maybe one or two of the songs, or at least parts of the songs on Ubase, and just talk about how he's inspired you guys as well. If you want to just let me know in the chat your favorite songs by him, favorite compositions, and things of that nature. But for me, there are certain songs that have inspired me a lot. One of the ones that comes to mind is Spain. So that's one of those songs that has just some really, really cool stuff, really fast lines where the whole band plays it together. And so I thought that would be a really cool one to start with. And that one's it's inspired me in a lot of ways. So one, the writing is just really cool, just the different layers that he has on the original recording, as well as all the different recordings that have been done on it. There's a really fast passage near the beginning that the whole band plays, which is really, really cool. And then there's another one I just basically tried to work on a little bit, and I thought we could go over that one as well. But I wanted to talk about how basically I have an album out with a song called Transitions, and I remember I had two parts of it, and I really wanted to add a part in there that was kind of like the part in Spain. So just the fact that he created that song inspired me to add a new section to a song of mine. And just I've played Spain. I don't know that I've played any of his other songs live or out, but just a lot of his music has just been very inspiring, and he's just, if you haven't listened to him, you need to. But let's talk about Spain for a second. So Spain kind of starts out on the there's a lot of different versions. There's a Return to Forever version. There's the acoustic band that he played with. So he's played with some great bass players too, like Stanley Clarke, John Patitucci. Later on, way later, he played with Abishai Cohen, and there've just been a whole lot of people along the way. But let me just kind of demonstrate Spain and just talk about it a little bit. So first, there's an opening line, right? That whole thing. And then it kind of goes into the melody from there. As you can tell, it's hard for me to play right now. So just that part alone. Right. So that's the first thing. And then it goes into the melody, and when it goes into the melody, the bass plays a more traditional bass line, but the melody is playing. And then we have the part where the whole band comes in together. So that part is just really, really good writing and a really, really cool part. And in the original, it's much faster than that. It's more like, let's see. How's it go? So that part's like just really complex and really cool. And so basically I just wanted to go over those sections. And does that whole thing again. So the bass doesn't really double that first part, but it does do the fast, longer section later on. Hi, Seth. How's it going? Hi, Haunted Chronicles. Congrats on the U bass. But yes. And thank you for saying that I'm an inspiration. This is one of my big inspirations. It's Chick Corea. So if you haven't listened to it, I don't know where you've been. If you haven't listened to any of his music, I don't know where you've been, because it's in a lot of different places all over the place. But one of the things that I really like about what he did on Spain was having the whole band lock in on that one fast part, and having everybody basically have to be virtuosic on their instrument at the same time there. And it's also it's a lot of fun to play. He's using trying to think. It's got a cool chord progression too, and man, I wish I had it in front of me, because I'm probably gonna get something wrong about the chords. So we'll just talk about the melodies for now. But basically, you start on a D, 12th fret on the D string. So it's 12th fret, then 11th fret on the G string, then back to the 12th fret on the D string, as in dog, then 9, 7 on the G string, and then 9 on the D string after that. So that's kind of a tricky thing, but I found that this is kind of the best way for me to play it. You might find that maybe it's easier to stay in one position and go further down, but to me that helps. La Fiesta, 500 Miles High. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. That's awesome. Okay, so we've got that, right? And then we've got the 7th fret on the D string, and this is the part where I'm trying to decide this. Yeah, I think it's that. No, that's the first one. Okay, so sorry, just racking my brain on that part. That's not usually a part that I play, but I thought it would be a cool part to go over. So then we've got 7 on the G string, 6 on the G string, and 7 on the D string. And then that 6th fret on the G, down to 4, down to the 5th fret on the D string. Yeah, Seth, I'm sorry. I know you've known a lot of people that have played with him too. I'm glad they got to. I mean, he's just such an inspiration. But anyway, let's keep going with the song, with one of his songs, So we've got that intro. 12, 11, 12, 9, 7, 9, 7, 6, 7. And you notice I'm kind of accenting the ones that are on the D string instead of the G string. Then 6, 4, 5 on the D string. And then we've got 3 7s on the D string and 3 4s on the D string. And it's got a particular rhythm to it, right? Da, 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 da. So that's already a little bit syncopated. 1 and a 2 E and E and so 1 and a 2 E and E and E and, right? 1 and a 2 E and E and E and. So it's like we're not playing on the downbeats on that last part. And then we've got this. And that's the part I always mess up the rhythm. So I'm not even really going to try, but it's syncopated there too. Boom, 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 right? And then you have to wait an extra beat longer than you think you would, in my opinion, to go into the melody. So the bass wouldn't really play that. The bass would be more like going, let's see, boom, 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 ba-dum, da, 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 da. it'd be outlining these chords. Although when I listened to it, I don't think he was playing all roots on there. Right? So those are what the roots are. So you can do like a simple, right? You could do that kind of bass line, but the rhythm's a little more varied in the original. I don't know exactly what he plays under there, but that's just kind of an idea that could get you started for a bass line. If you found the chord chart, there's a G chord. I believe it's an E minor second, but I'm not positive on that. So, and then an F sharp. Then we'd have an E minor going to an A major, or an A7 maybe, going to a D major. And then we have a C sharp. And I always like doing it, and it's like the chart says it's just a minor 7 chord, C sharp minor 7, going to an F sharp 7 probably, or F sharp major, and then you're ending up on a B. And in the solo section, it goes from B minor and then hangs on and goes to B major, which is kind of a cool thing that he does. But that minor from major move is pretty cool. But I'm not sure it does that under the melody. It does that under the solo section. So I'm not going to go into all the detail on that. For bass lines, you can you can listen to the original. You can find a whole lot of resources on that. So I'm just going to talk about how to play the melody over this part. That's going to be an F sharp. And I'm just going to tell you the frets right now. But if you want the note names, let me know in the comments. But it'll be 4th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret on the D string. Then it's going to be the 4th fret on the G, 6th fret, and 7th fret. So we got, and then we got to slide up to the 9th fret, back to the 7th. This is on the G string. And then the 6th fret after that. So yeah, it's just really sad that he's gone. So I want to celebrate his music. Like I said, anybody that wants to on the side, just post your favorite Chick Corea songs, or just any cool moments that you've had if you've gotten to see him live, or any of the bands that he's done. So Jeff says a lot of the melody sounds like dueling banjos. I don't really hear that on this. Maybe it's just the way it is isolated right now. I mean, I guess you could say that first part kind of could, but from there it's got just a lot more kind of to it in a different way. And obviously the chords underneath it are totally different. So just a totally different vibe. But maybe isolated, I can see how a couple of those notes kind of have that vibe. So that's where we are right now. So it does basically the same set of notes again. So 4th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret on the D string, and then 4th, 6th, and 7th on the G string again. Then we go up to the 9th fret on the G string again. Then this time we're going to go 7, 9, 11 on the G string. So far we've got, then the second time, right? Now we've got 9, 7, 6, 7, 9, 7, 6. And I like scooping into this. You can either slide into it or kind of do a little hammer-on thing, a little double hammer-on into the 6th fret and then to the 4th fret. So the whole thing. So I like doing a little double hammer-on thing, but you can slide just as easily from the 4th fret to the 6th fret. And when I say double hammer-on, it's like I'm very, very quickly hammer on from 4 to 5 and then 5 to 6. So index, middle, ring. But it's kind of like an effect. It's almost like rolling the hand, just rolling the fingers down. But if that's too hard, you can slide into it. And then we get into the really fast part. It's like once you lose it, it's hard to get back. But that part is going to be a 9 on the D string, then a 9 on the G string. Then you've got the 12th fret on the G, then the 11th fret, then 12th on the D string, then 9th. Okay, so let's see what happens there. And then you do the 9th fret on the G string as well. So 9, 9, 12, 11, then on the other string, the D string, 12, 9, 9. And then what I do here is I reach down with my pinky to the 12th fret on the A string, and this note comes a little bit quicker than you expect it to, like 1/16th note earlier than basically my memory would always remember that note not a half of a thing later, a 16th note later, and a drummer had to point out to me that I was playing that a little bit too late, and so basically let's see what that was. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a... So it's on the of let's see, dun dun 1 and a da 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 da. I guess it's on the after beat 4 going into the next measure. 1 E and 3 E and whoops, that'd be 2, wouldn't it? 1 E and 2 E and yeah. So that's just it's kind of weird. It's hard for me to count and play that at the same time. But it's 12th fret on the A string. Let's see. I have it as muscle memory, so sometimes I have to play through it to remember what comes next. So after the 12th fret on the A string, we do the 12th fret on the D string, then the 11th fret. So far we've got 9 on the D, 9 on the G, 12, 11 on the G, 12, 9 on the D, 12 on the G. Sorry, 9, that's not a 12, it's 9. Then we got 12 on the A. Then 12, 11 on the D. So in this next part is going to be 12 on the A, 9 on the D string, 10 on the A string. So let's see. So we got 12, 9, 10, 10, and I think he hit twice. So 12, 9, 10, 10, and that 10's on the A string. The 10 and 12 were, and the 9 was on the D string. Okay, so this is kind of hard to go through. If you're following along, you may have to come back to this and go through it a couple times. But that's the idea there. 12, 9, 10, 10. Then we've got the 12 on the D string after that. Then the 9 on the G string. 12, 10, 9, or 12, 9, 10, 10, 12, 9. That part's kind of hard. So what's coming up next? There's a lot of skipping around, and it uses a lot of pinky being able to reach all the way up to the E string coming up soon. So we're right there, right? Where we did the 12 and then 9 on the G string. Okay, then we got... So we hit an extra 9 on the G string, then 12, 11, then 12 on the D string. So all the other stuff was on the G string that I was talking about. Then we've got 9 on the D string, 12, back to 9 on the D string still, then back to the 9th fret on the G string, So far. Then the weird thing here, after we get to there, we're going to do the 11th fret on the D string and the 9th fret on the D string. D as in dog. So that's kind of a phrase in itself. Then after that, this is where we got to use our pinky coming up. We do the 9th fret on the A string, our pointer finger, and then our pinky is going to reach over to the 12th fret on the E string. And if the intonation's a little wacky on your particular U bass or bass ukulele, you can take those notes that are down low, subtract 5 frets from them to get them onto the next thinner string. So instead of playing the 12 on the E string, you could play the 7 on the A string for that note. But so either way for you. But we're right there. So. And then we got, so that's where we are right now. And then we've got, that's going to be 9th fret on the A string, 9th fret on the D string, and 11th fret on the D string. And then I like to slide from here into the 13th fret on the A string, and then the 11th fret still on the A string, and then the 9th fret. So kind of having to shift out of that position just for this part. So here's everything we've done so far. I'm going to play it kind of slowly. I'm going to say the number of the frets, but it's not going to help with the strings. So you'll just have to kind of go through with the strings. But I'll try to do it slow enough to where you might be able to follow along. So we got 9, 9, 12, 11, 12, 9, 9, 12, 12, 11, 12, 9, 10, 10, 12, 9, 9, 12, 11, 12, 9, 12, 9, 9, 11, 9, 9, 12. And then we have 9, 9, 11. And that slide into 13, 11, 9. Okay. So that's pretty tricky. It's a lot of stuff going on. So hello, Valeria. And then I forgot how to pronounce Jokke. I forgot how to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting your name. I know I've commented back and forth with you a couple times recently. But thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you stopping in. Okay. So so we're all the way through that part. And then the only part left is, oops, not that. Okay, so it's kind of a tricky fill. This is the one that I always get a little bit of buzz on, and I always slide out of that. So this is going to be 9 on the E string to 9 on the A string, back to 9 on the E string. So it's kind of like we're going back and forth. 9, 9, 9, 11, 9. So the 11 was on the A string, and so was one of those 9s. So 9 on the E string, 9 on the A string, 9 on the E string, 11 on the A string, 9 on the E string. Then I think we got 13 on the A string. I'm going to play it real quick just to make sure if that's right. Yep. And then from there, we slide down to the 12th fret. So 9, 9, 9, 11, 9, 13, 12, because you slide down. Then we've got the 9th fret on the A string and the 11th fret on the G string. And then we've got this, and that's just 11, 9 on the G string, 12, 9 on the D string. So this was kind of more of a task than I was thinking, but as you can tell, it's very tricky, it's very fast, and it's hard to lock in. So you just kind of have to go kind of work through it. So Seth over here says, I love the stuff Chick did with John Patitucci on the bass, upright and electric. Yeah, so he had the acoustic band and the electric band, and John Patitucci was able to kind of do both. You know, he had that upright bass, and I love his tone. John Patitucci has like one of my favorite upright tones, and then his electric tone's cool too. My only thing is it's a silly criticism. He's a great soloist. He can play amazing things, but he likes his tone very, very bright for soloing. And to me, it's not quite what I like out of the 6-string bass sound. But the notes he plays and what he chooses in his solos is amazing. He's a phenomenal player. But that's just my personal preference. I like what he does on upright better because his tone on upright is just, it's like butter. It's real smooth. But yes, he played on some of this stuff, and then Stanley Clarke played on some of the Return to Forever stuff. So yeah, so let's try going through this slowly. I guess I'll give you the fret numbers if I can, and if I go slow enough, maybe I can. And I can't give you the string names and the fret numbers because that's just too much stuff going on at the same time. But here we go. 9, 9. 12, 11, 12, 9, 9, 12, 12, 11, 12, 9, 10, 10, 12, 9, 9, 12, 11, 12, 9, 12, 9, 9, 11, 9, 9, 12, 9, 9, 11, slide into 13, 11, 9. Then that cool part at the end. 9, 9, 9, 11, 9, 13, slide, 12, 9, 11, 11, 9, 12, 9. So if you go back through there and you watch closely on which strings I'm playing on while I'm going through there, hopefully that can work out. I know that's not the best tutorial ever. It's just hard to do on a live stream. I think it could take, that took 30 minutes. I'll put it that way. So that's the parts of Spain that I really, really like that kind of inspired me. And here's an example of how that inspired me. So my song Transitions, that's in 7/8 that goes, it has a section at the end where I went, we'll see. How's it go? Oh man, now I'm thinking about Spain so much I can't even play my own song. Yeah, so we've got this. So it's a little easier than what he played. It's kind of like a watered down as far as the simplicity goes. But basically it's a thing that's minor based. So he was doing B minor, right, with all that stuff for the most part. He had like that one note that really wasn't in the scale, that kind of goes back and forth between minor and Dorian, which is kind of also what I do in Transitions. I kind of combine I do harmonic minor at the end, but an earlier part of it is in Dorian. So, or I like soloing over it in Dorian. Maybe I didn't write it in Dorian, but I like soloing over it in Dorian mixed with the blues scale. And then toward the end, it goes harmonic minor. And the Dorian and the harmonic minor are flavors that Chick Corea uses a lot. So that's kind of the thing there, and kind of the inspiration that he gave me. And so then I have this section that's in harmonic minor. It's A harmonic minor. Right? And so that part is just very, very directly influenced by that. I was thinking it would be really cool to have a part of the song that does this thing like Spain. And it's not just Spain that he does that in. I was trying to work on another one, and I think it's Gotta Match. It's got a light in it. Gotta match, gotta light, gotta match. Yeah, Gotta Match. Okay, for whatever reason, I can't remember the name to that one very well. But that one has a section at the beginning that's super fast. And I was thinking about trying to add another song since I really only had Spain in mind for showing you guys. And so I decided to try to learn the fast section where the band all locks in. And it proved to be kind of difficult to learn in an hour before the live stream. So I might just play it and not teach it so that it doesn't take the whole entire next 30 minutes. And just know I just learned it. So, I'm going to play it rather slowly. And so basically, I'm also going to tell you one way that I did to learn these things. I basically pulled up the song and put it at 50% speed on YouTube and just kind of played through it. And if there were parts that I couldn't catch all the notes clearly, I would pause it between one note and the next note so that I had time to think about what that interval was before my brain got clouded with the third and fourth note hitting like immediately after. So he has this thing that's right. So that's the first part. And I'm just going to kind of like talk about the theory of what he's doing there. Right here, he's doing like a D minor chord, but he's doing it with the, he's doing it kind of like in second inversion almost. He's starting on the fifth of the chord, then going to the root. Fifth, root, third, fifth. And then he goes to the 5 chord, so he starts on the same note to do this next thing, and he goes root of the 5 chord, which is an A chord, third, fifth octave. So it's a lot of the same notes. There's just really 2 notes that change in the middle. And that's using that harmonic minor. He's using D harmonic minor here. So once again, that sound that inspired me from Spain, he's kind of using those same ideas again here. And then he's just basically staying in D minor for the rest of that little section, except for he adds a chromatic passing tone going into the next chord, which he basically moves the whole pattern that he did there up a fourth and does it basically in G minor at that point. Except for he changes the last 2 notes of the pattern. But it's really cool just hearing him go back and forth. He's doing harmonic minor of D minor and then transposing that to G minor. And then he kind of goes off from there, and it almost has more of like a bebop vibe. And this is the part I'm not sure that I'll be able to remember everything. So after he goes from here, then he goes, is this the part where he goes? Yeah. Or yeah. So then he has this other part, and I haven't really thought about the theory behind everything he's doing, because on this other part, I don't know the chords he's outlining yet. But he kind of goes back to it in a later part of the song, and the bass is kind of walking down chromatically, which is kind of cool. So first, it's walking down chromatically from D. Then he's doing it from G once he gets there. So I think those chords apply to the first part of the song. So a chromatic bass line going down. First, he's starting on the root of the chord because he starts on a D minor chord. But then he goes to an A probably 7 chord. So then he's playing the third of the A7 chord. So that creates a chromatic line going down. And then he's going back to a D minor. But I think here he's calling it a D minor 7 because that C would be the 7th of a D minor 7 chord. So that would be not harmonic minor temporarily, just so that he can continue that chromatic line down. And then I'm not sure what chord he's doing once he gets down there and he's playing a B. But I just thought that was pretty cool. And then right after that, he goes to G and kind of starts doing the same thing with the chromatic line down there. So he's really creative. I'm sure that it was Chick that came up with that idea, telling the bass player what to do, because that's just a very compositional thing, having the bass line moving down under this melody that's going on. And it also kind of reminds me on my song transitions when I was doing that. Man, I can't stop thinking about the Spain melody. There we go. When I showed that to the piano player in my band, who's also very inspired by Chick Corea, he said I was implying chords underneath there, and so we added a chord section underneath there, and he said he wanted to solo over that section. So I got to give him some arranging credit, you know, for sure. My buddy Bill Graham. If you go to Bill Graham Music on here, he's got some excellent jazz lessons that are more based around the piano. But he loves Chick Corea, and you know, all these. He knows a lot more in depth theory wise what Chick's doing on all these songs. So I'm hoping he'll come out with the video sometime soon. Just doing the same kind of thing where he's explaining how inspired by him he was as well, or just talking about the theory. I'm hoping he'll do something like that. But I'll talk to him about it. But anyway, you know, my buddy Bill was telling me that I was implying chords that were basically walking up an A minor scale, and essentially it was just going back and forth between the 1 chord and the 5 chord in minor, but the motion was going up the scale, which I wasn't thinking about it that much. I was just making a cool line in harmonic minor, but apparently that was part of the reason it sounded cool, was because it was slowly climbing up the scale and kind of accenting these notes. So when you play them together, you got that. You can kind of hear. You know, but anyway, it's walking up, whereas in this other song, Gotta Match, Chick Corea has the bass line walking down, but he did something clever to make it work where it's walking down chromatically instead. So as a bass player, I just think that's great stuff. So Seth says, which Chick Corea song are you playing now? Oh, it's Gotta Match. So so that's the one that's doing the. And then he's got this crazy other stuff. What was that? I don't know. It's got a little da-da-da at the end. I just can't remember either. Yeah. So that's that one. But then later on, right after the whole band does that together, Chick Corea starts playing something that's very similar to that. It's like messing around with that melody that he introduced with the whole band playing it, and then the bass is just walking down chromatically underneath that. And so I was just thinking that I could just hum that first part that we're doing. Boom, ba da dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da da dum da da da. And same right here, he's walking down chromatically from G, so he's got the same idea there. So I just think that's really cool. And as a bass player, we're always looking for excuses, or at least I am always looking for excuses to throw in chromatic lines as long as I can where they make sense, or just lines that do something motion, you know, some kind of motion down that's kind of clever and creative, because it's not just the root notes. And so that's a perfect example of that, where the chord is changing from minor, you know, the minor 1 chord to the 5 chord, but the bass is putting it in a different inversion to get those chromatic lines out. So so sometimes you can do that. I wouldn't do this too much on country or, you know, some other genre like that, but in jazz, you can kind of put a different note in the bass. It's got to be a chord tone, so it's a note that's in the chord. But if you put different notes in there, you kind of get a melody out of the bass line, or a very smooth walking bass line if it's not super melodic. So hopefully that's not too theory heavy, but that's just an example of Chick Corea's inspiration on stuff that I do and stuff that I like to hear. All right, so it looks like we got some just general U-bass questions. Let's see what we've got here. Which Kala U-bass do you like the most sound-wise? Okay, so that's kind of tough. When I put the flat wound strings on the Journeyman, it improved the sound for me a lot. So I really like this setup. However, I feel like the ones in the $400 and up range are just going to be better. And the quality and the build is just kind of a little bit better for stuff like the exotic mahogany, stuff like the the ebony model. So I'm hoping to get a fretless ebony, but I would say those would be good. And basically anything from there is going to have a really good tone. So that middle range stuff between 400 and 600 or whatever it happens to be. And then of course the solid bodies are great. So if you have the funds, you can go all out and get a, $1,200 or $1,400 solid body. And those sound wonderful. But to me, this sounds good for what I do. So having the flat wound strings on the Journeyman, to me, improved the sound. Basically, it already sounded good with the round wounds. It's just there's less string noise with the flat wounds. So that's the main reason I like this, and I can slide super smoothly. And so the round wounds would be better if you're trying to get like a more aggressive tone, like if you're trying to imitate Geddy Lee or Chris Squire and you want to get a sound as close to that as you can out of the U-bass, then I would go with the round wound strings for that. But I think it's more of a question of strings than it is model, if that helps. Okay, and so then we've got a couple other questions. So Alan asks, can you tune a U-bass to BEAD? I want to say that you probably can if you could find a 5-string pack and just put the low 4 on there, but that still might require you to change the nut out or file the nut wider in order to fit the strings on there because they're going to be thicker. We could also just experiment and see, I could do the tuner on the phone. Would probably be the best way to do it. And we can see how floppy the strings get if we tune down to that. I don't think that's going to, cause any issues with the neck, but we'll see. You'd probably want to do a truss rod adjustment at that point too. So this is the G string tuned down to D. And just to give you an idea, it moves a lot more. So like that's the tension there. If I put the same amount of pressure on here, it moves a lot further. So you can tell they're both tuned to D. Well, it's already starting to slip, but that's okay. So let's just see what happens if we get them all down. Tuning this down to A. Please don't fall off. Doing this just for you guys. And then tuning this down to B. This is going to be the one that I don't think is going to work that well. Okay. So it's very, very muddy. It's hard to distinguish any notes from each other because this pickup's not really designed to do that. I'll give it a little bit more high and mids. Okay, so it's already going sharp, but that's just what happens when you tune something that far down. But the answer is, at least with the flat wound strings, sure, you can do that. So interesting idea. Yeah, U-bass doom metal, right? Okay, probably enough of that. I'm going to tune it back up because you probably want to do a truss rod adjustment when you tune stuff down that far because the truss rod is tightened to a certain point to counteract how much the strings are pulling the other way. So if you change it too much, it might be bad for the neck, in other words. So maybe don't do that necessarily, but yeah, it gets really loose. And I imagine if you do that with the rubber strings, that they'd just be too floppy with the rubber strings. You'd get fret buzz on every single note because the string wouldn't be tight enough to not flop against the frets when you play it. So that's my guess with the rubber, but with the metal, you might be able to do it. You just lose a lot of sustain and stuff. Okay. Well, that was fun. There we go. So now, because of that, we have to, sorry, be patient with me, guys. I'm tuning them mostly up to pitch. So I don't recommend it. Especially with the rubber strings. They used to make 5-string packs, and if you could find a 5-string pack, then you could put the E, the A, and the B, the E, the A, and the D strings that were intended to be that tuned like that onto a 4-string. But they do have a 5-string U bass. So when I say they do, they did. Past tense. They did have a 5-string U bass. I don't think they make them anymore. And I'm thinking that the reason they don't isn't because there were issues with it, but it's probably because there's not really a demand for it. So there you go. So there's your answer for that one. I think there was one question after that. What is your opinion regarding $150 ukulele bass? They're kind of hit or miss. I think the Hadean or Hadeen, I've heard both pronunciations. Hadean just seems to be the one with the most backing behind which name it would be called that, because like Hades, Hadean, someone from anyway. But that might be someone's last name for all I know, and it may not be the reason that it's named that. But I'm going to call it Hadean until somebody from the company corrects me and says, no, we meant Hadeen. So I would say those are pretty good. I've had one of those and played through it, and it was like 130 or something. It wasn't even quite 150. So that one had a truss rod, so I was able to do a truss rod adjustment when I needed to, and it was good to me. Although I've heard some things from other people about the electronics not always working as well, but hopefully that kind of gives you an idea on that one. Donner, I haven't heard too many negative things about Donner. I've heard mostly positive stuff. So I haven't played on one of those, but I have a student that has one, and his sounds pretty good. And so I imagine those are pretty good, that they're at least all right. This one right here, where is it? Here it is. The fretless that I bought. Oh, it's not the fretless. It's way over there. Oh, too many U basses. There we go. This one's cool looking, and I got it because, it's like, even if it's terrible, it might still be worth it just because it looks cool. And I don't play it much because it's hard to teach on. Like, if I'm like, play the 3rd fret, and I'm here, you're like, wait, what fret is he on? So I don't do that one. Yeah, Seth, you have a Donner. How do you like the Donner? Oh, it doesn't have a truss rod. Okay, so the Hadean, I'm gonna say Hadean. That one does have a truss rod, and apparently Seth's Donner doesn't, but maybe they have a model that does. I'm not sure. You'd have to look for it. But the way you can tell if it has a truss rod, this one does not have a truss rod. So I got this with the hopes of being able to put flat wounds on it, and I haven't trusted it to do that yet. And it's just kind of like, without the truss rod, it's just like I can't adjust the neck. So if the strings put too much tension on it, there's nothing to counteract that tension, basically. Okay, so Navix, how do you like your Hadean? Since you've had it longer than I did, since I gave the one that I had away, let everybody know how it's been for you. But yeah, but those are all fun. And I know what you mean. I see that you say you prefer the electric bass. Yeah, having a full scale electric is kind of nice. There are things that you can do on that you can't do on these, really. I mean, one, it has more frets, and two, I think slap just will always sound better on the full scale electric. But it's amazing what you can do with these. I still like both of them. So what is a truss rod? Let me find this one. So here, there's this little cover up here that has these little screws. But basically what a truss rod does, it's like a metal rod that goes in the neck. And I don't really know what it looks like, inside the neck. So forgive me if this is an oversimplification, if it's really different than what I'm saying slightly. But basically there's a rod inside the neck. And if you have strings with lower tension, you probably don't need one. right? Unless you need to adjust it because it's because certain frets are buzzing on the neck. But basically, if you tighten the truss rod, it straightens it out. And if you loosen the truss rod, it allows the strings to pull on it a little bit more. So you might get a bowing of the neck. So you want the ever so slight bowing to it, but not a lot. A little scoop in the neck. And basically on this one, you can get to the truss rod underneath the strings right here. Not sure if you can see that with an Allen key. Do you see how there's a little circle there? It basically, you can put a tool in there and tighten or loosen it. And I have a video where I had to do this on this particular one. And I was tightening it to try to get some fret buzz out of the neck. But yeah, you probably want to have that if you're wanting to change the strings to metal strings. It's not essential for the polyurethane because they just don't put that much tension on the bass itself. So it's probably okay, but it's good to have that option. So that's what I recommend there. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so Alan says he has a Caramel, sort of off-brand, but still has a truss rod. So I've heard some good things about those. The Caramel, how do you pronounce it? I've heard some good things about that one too. So Alan's kind of saying that it is a good one. Okay, so that's good to know. Thanks for letting everybody know that. And then Navik says he likes the Hadean. It's got a good tone and the bass is good. Still be better off getting a Kala, but for people with a lower budget, it's fantastic. Okay, so yeah, I did a comparison between the two where I have the Hadean and the Kala Wanderer, and I'd say in that Wanderer and below price range, the Kalas are really more comparable to the $150 ones. It's almost, I don't want to say you're paying for the name, you're probably paying for a little bit more quality control too, so that you're more likely to not have as many issues with the Kalas. But I didn't have any issues with the one that I got, and I've heard very few issues from other people, but a few here and there. Stuff like electronics shorting out within a year or something, which hasn't happened to me. That hasn't been the case for me, and as far as I know, most people don't have that issue. But I'm not sure if it happens more with the off brands or not. But I have heard of it happening, so it's just good to know. And then Seth says an Oscar Schmidt by Washburn has a truss rod. I feel like that one's a little bit more pricey than the other ones. Am I right or wrong on that, Seth? Let me know. I don't know the price range for those, but I want to say those are a little bit more expensive than the 150 range that we're talking about. And the Thunder Reds are good strings. I still have yet to get them. I need to get those and try them out because I've heard good things from pretty much anybody that's gotten them, except for one person that said that they wear out quicker than some other strings. But I think that depends on your climate, like the weather where you're at. And if weather will affect strings differently in different areas. Okay. Alan says he really needs a 6-string bass. He's playing a lot of Thundercat songs. Very nice. So when I got to go to NAMM, the North American Music Merchants, I think it is, convention in California the other year, I got to go with a friend of mine who has an endorsement with an ukulele company. So I played some bass with him at the booth, but got to hang out and go to the Kala booth and go everywhere. And then I noticed I walked by the Ibanez booth, and they make Thundercats bass. So there it was, just hanging on the wall, and you're allowed to pick them up and play on them. So I got to play on one of the Thundercat model basses, and I was afraid to because the price tag on it is not cheap, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of like, how the Journeyman is, where I've got my flat wound strings on it, and it's kind of got a cool orange color. Well, the giant Thundercat bass is like a 6-string, bass with flat wounds, and it has kind of an orange and yellow sunburst kind of thing. So it kind of reminds me of the Journeyman in some ways, but it was amazing to play on that for a minute, even though I didn't do it plugged in or anything. I mostly just played on it a little bit, but it's just hard to believe that he plays that, at shows for, you know, however many hours straight, that big of a bass would kind of wear me out after a while, I think. But it's a very, very cool bass, just for the record on the Thundercat stuff. Okay. We're kind of getting away from the other stuff, but I think I said everything, you know, just as far as Chick Corea. If you have not listened to him, I imagine most of you guys have, or maybe even all of you. But Got a Match is a really cool song. Spain is a really cool song. I definitely give those a listen, and listen to his electric band and his acoustic band so that you can get different ideas for the flavors of how he writes for different ensembles. There's been some stuff that I've seen where it's just him on piano, or I think there's some with him and Hiromi doing some back and forth stuff. There's just a whole bunch of stuff just to check there. So Seth, what's the you said on your CK? What's that? I guess I missed that one. With the Chick Corea. Oh, all the stuff with Christian McBride on bass. Okay. So there's a really cool version of All Blues with those guys on it. Really, really cool stuff. There, at some point, he had Avishai Cohen playing with him, and that's a bass player that I would definitely recommend you guys check out if you can find some of the stuff they did together. And that's really cool. But yeah, so apparently some stuff with Christian McBride on bass and with Chick Corea would be really cool to check out too. I got to meet Christian McBride because when I was in college, they had people come through the school to like do clinics. And so he critiqued my upright bass playing. There's a lot to critique on the upright playing side of things, but it was very kind to him to invite different players to get, you know, just that were at the school to just get up and have him critique. So I jumped at the opportunity when he said that, you know, even though it's kind of embarrassing, like when you realize how amazing of a bass player he is. And, but you know, it's like, if you want to get there, you ask people, what am I doing wrong? Essentially, you know, and you just let them kind of help you get to where you're playing at a higher level than you were, you know, maybe not as high a level as they play at, but a higher level than you were. So yeah, I would definitely say if you can find that with Chick Corea and Christian McBride, I'm going to have to check that out pretty soon too. So search for that. And then Navik says, he's never met any famous bass players, only his teacher. Cool. Oh, very cool. He played with Foghat. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes the teachers that you get play some really awesome stuff. That kind of reminds me, I know I was telling you guys, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, about my friend that has a channel where he interviews kind of famous musicians, and he had one of my bass inspirations, Adam Nitti, on there. And Adam Nitti writes a lot of fusion stuff, and I don't think anyone would have the idea of what jazz fusion is without Chick Corea inspiring everybody on down the line. So I just kind of wanted to say it's cool. It's like he inspired inspirations for me too, right? So if you like jazz fusion, I mean, he's like the pioneer of it, you know, like one of the pioneers, and obviously the stuff that he made just kind of stood the test of time, you know, just going down. So you got to listen to that Chick Corea stuff, the Return to Forever stuff with Chick on keys, Al Di Meola playing guitar, Stanley Clarke on bass. I can't even remember which drummer did they have there, but and then the Got a Match version that I was listening to had Dave Weckl on drums. So if you like, you know, listening to different drummers, Dave Weckl's like the fusion guy in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot more than just him, but he's a really good fusion guy too. Very cool. So Seth, I think you're talking about Christian McBride played with Joshua Redman. Yeah, that's a pretty good combination there. I'd like to hear that too. But he's just inspired everybody, and it's really sad to know that we won't hear any new music from him but at least he left behind so many different things. I mean, he's the kind of guy that went through several periods of time. Maybe he did it all his life, but I'm just going to say, I remember one interview with him with Chick talking about how he wrote a song every single day, and that's just phenomenal. Like, to practice writing like daily like that is just it's an inspiration too. You know, that's probably one of the reasons why I like doing the loop pedal thing on here a lot, is because it keeps me kind of writing at least weekly. And I know it's more improvising than writing, but that's why I like asking you guys for different genres and trying to push the boundaries a little bit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, let me know if any of you guys gotten to see Chick Corea play live. So I'm jealous. I never got a chance. But by the way, when we're talking about jazz fusion, a lot of times just what that means is taking different genres and kind of mixing them together with jazz. Very cool. John and Roy Haynes. Very cool. Yeah, Roy Haynes is great as well. I got to see him at Georgia State. He was calling his band the Fountain of Youth Band because I think he was 85 when I saw him, which is just absolutely incredible that he was still playing and touring at that point. That's inspiring too. So I bet that concert was awesome with John and Roy. Oh, cool. And speaking of John, a different John says 3 times. That's really awesome. Really, really cool. Well, I'm jealous of you guys getting to see him play. I just never, I don't want to, it's like I kind of say I never got the chance, but like, I think Return to Forever did kind of get back together and do a show at some point, and I did know about it. It was just a very expensive show, so I didn't make it to that one. But I would have loved to see him. I love hearing everything that he's done, and honestly, I haven't delved deep enough. For how much what little I have heard has inspired me. You'd think I would dive deep and really learn more of the catalog. So I think I'm going to do that now. There's also a nice workshop with Stanley. So I got to see Stanley play live. He was with it was the Clark Duke project. So he had George Duke with him, another wonderful keyboard player, and he pulled out his upright bass and did a whole bunch of like electric style slap on the upright. It's phenomenal, and I was very, very lucky. They do the meet and greets if you stay after the show and everything. And I got to meet Stanley Clark. I shook his hand. His hands are like, I don't know, this big. It's like shaking a basketball player's hand or something. Pretty crazy stuff. Very cool. So everybody check out some of these recommendations that Martin has and that Seth has, and you'll get to hear some really good stuff. And Navix, I think you will meet Victor Wooten and Marcus one day. I was very fortunate to get a chance to meet both of them. One thing, it's kind of like if you keep playing and you get really good, when you go to, hopefully they'll do it again, after we all get, hopefully vaccinated or the corona just gets weaker or whatever it is. Hopefully we'll all be able to go and check out all this other stuff. But yeah, I got to see Victor Wooten several times because he used to do a lot of bass clinics at different music stores, which was really cool. And then Marcus Miller, I saw that show that he played, and I didn't get to meet him there because he wasn't at the meet and greet. Stanley and George were. And then going to NAMM, the North American Music Merchant convention, was really cool because everybody's there. It's just like you have to look around and kind of, you get lucky running into certain people. But yeah, I mean, it was just really cool. And so I saw Victor just walking there, and I'd already, gotten to meet him several times from previous things. And I went to the Bass Nature Camp. So, I mean, if you have the money to be able to do that, hopefully he'll do that again. I'm hoping he will, because that was really cool in Nashville. Or just outside of Nashville, really. But yeah, just some really cool stuff. But Marcus Miller, right after I had like put down the Thundercat bass, it's like there's Marcus and a crew of people walking, and he's walking with purpose right by me. He's walking straight towards me, and it's like it took me a second to click. Oh yeah, that is Marcus, because we all had name tags on at the thing, and so I tried to I just stuck my hand out to shake his hand and tried to say I'm your biggest fan, but it didn't come out like that. So yeah, kind of embarrassing, but still, it's like I got to shake his hand, and so that was awesome. And then he was immediately going to a booth to play, so I walked over there and checked out what he was doing at I think it was one of the amp companies that he endorses. Very cool. Yeah, and Victor, if you get a chance to meet him, he's really humble and just really patient. Like, he was doing a clinic at a local music store that I was at, and you wait in line to talk to him and everything. I was just after I made my CDs, I just thought it was cool to like give my heroes a copy of my CDs saying, you inspired me a lot. Here's something of mine, and then buy one of their CDs at the same time. Victor, he made me sign the CD and said, you got to get used to doing that, which I thought was really cool. And just, like how cool is that to have one of your heroes get you to do that? It's just like I don't know, it's just so kind to him. It's like, that never really came to fruition. I wasn't like, I never toured with the album or anything, but just how cool is that to have somebody be that humble and say, I'm going to listen to it on the way home, and while he's doing all that, mind you, he's letting anybody that was there play his bass. So he's like just, doing that meet and greeting with everybody else, and just really trusting of everybody, playing his Fodera yin yang bass while all that's going on. So I don't know. He's just a really cool, humble guy. And if you get a chance to meet him, you will learn something from him one way or the other. If it's just about being a kind person, a humble person, or if it's something on bass, he's awesome. But yeah, I'm very fortunate that I got to meet a lot of my heroes. My friend Sean that does the Soul Nights Live, he's got a lot of interesting connections, and he helped. He got me to go to a Yes show with him, and I got to meet Chris Squire before he passed, which was really good, getting to meet Chris Squire as well. Did I play his bass? Not his, no. But speaking of other really humble, awesome people in the jazz world, I met John Clayton. And John Clayton has Ray Brown's bass. So if anybody knows Ray Brown, he's, I don't know, he's like my biggest inspiration on upright. If I could sound like anyone on upright bass, if I had the choice, I would sound like him. The kind of style he has, the tone he has, and all that stuff. And John Clayton, after he passed, ended up with his bass and was doing a clinic at Emory in Atlanta. And I went over there and with a couple of other bass players, and he was so kind that he let us each play his bass. And so it's like getting to play Ray Brown's bass. It was a 7/8, so it's bigger than mine, and it's a really, really old bass. But just how cool is that? People like Victor and John Clayton and several other people that just let you play their bass. Like, phenomenal stuff. So I didn't play. Okay, I'm gonna say this though. I didn't play Victor's bass, but when I went to his nature camp, I parked in a spot. Apparently I had to move my car, and we all had our basses out, at the place. And then Victor comes in, he says, who's in the green car? And I'm like, oh, that's my car. And so he's like, I'll play your bass while you go move it. And so he actually played the 5-string Schecter that I have, which is pretty cool. I have a picture of him playing that, but I never played his bass, but he played one of mine, which is really cool. Okay. So just fun stories like that. But yeah, really, I wanted this to be about Chick Corea more than that. How is Ray Brown's bass? Well, for me, it's hard to play because I'm used to a 3/4 scale and not a 7/8. So that size difference was just a lot to get used to. It's set up for John Clayton, so I don't know if that's exactly how Ray Brown had it or if John did a different setup. But I would say it's physically demanding to play the bass, but it has a really, really nice sound, super duper nice sound. And it was just extraordinary getting the chance to do that. Yeah, I actually have a picture of that basically one of my students also went to that nature camp. They took the picture while I was moving my car. Yep. Yeah, and then the other thing that was really cool from that nature camp, another example of Victor Wooten just being a great teacher. I was like the second day or something, I guess, of the camp. I only did the weekend camp. I was only there for 2 days, but I woke up early and went down to the place, and there were a couple people jamming on stage. So I got my bass out and set up and jammed with a couple of the other campers. And then when Victor Wooten came and joined us, I was kind of soloing when he came in, and he said, he kind of humbled me. I'll say it this way. He's like, I can tell you can play, but here's how you craft a solo, basically. And it was one of the coolest lessons because basically he just told everybody in this, it was almost like a circle of bass players. He told somebody to just keep the groove, kind of just keep it going. And I think all of us were keeping the groove going, just adding what we could to it. And then he soloed over it. So how do I show the picture of that? I don't even know if you can screen share through YouTube. I don't think you can. I don't have the software to be able to do that. It's on my Facebook page. I could find a way to share it with you outside of here if you wanted, but I'm not sure where. Oh, and then Martin says the other bass of Ray Brown is owned by Christian McBride. Very cool. Through my phone or something. Let me see if I can do that. That might take a while to find, but I will try. Oh, gotta be off airplane mode to find it. But yes, basically, just a whole lot of these people are so kind, and I want to say Chick Corea seems like he was too. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but he seems like he really was too. Just hearing the kinds of things he would say. There's something that he said kind of toward the end of when he was passing. Someone had a quote from him just talking about, just hoping that he inspired a lot of people and left a lot for people and just inspired people to have fun with music, to not, so I just thought that was really cool. But yeah, all these guys are inspirational, and I'm glad a lot of them are still with us, but it's a shame. It's a shame that we won't hear any new Chick Corea stuff, although he is such a prolific writer that there'll probably be things that he hasn't released, that come up every now and then if his family wants to share it or not. If they do, then we'll probably get to hear some stuff that we haven't heard from him, because he just wrote all the time. And yeah, I don't know. So hopefully we'll get to hear some stuff that we weren't aware of that was written. It's going to take me a while to scroll through these. If you have any questions while I'm doing that, let me know. I'll try to do that on here. I never shared it on Instagram, so I'll have to find it on Facebook real quick. And then maybe I'll play a little bit more for you. Although I think that's all the Chick Corea stuff that I currently have worked up on bass. Let's see. It's gonna be further back than this. Oh, I set it as a profile picture. That'll be the easiest. Whoops. That'll be the easiest way to find it. At one point, albums, profile picture. I have that gotta match thing stuck in my head. It's gotta be somewhere near here. Okay. So if you can see that's Victor Wooten playing my bass. And I'm not sure if I've showed you that red Schecter, so I'll just show you another picture of me playing that bass. And because there's another one literally right next to it, like this profile picture, I'm playing the same bass there. It's not a good picture though, the glare on it. So let me find another one. It's got to be a better one than that. So that's the same bass. If it'll focus, there we go. It's not really focusing very well. It almost looks brown in that. Let's see. But that was the bass I used for a long time. And then eventually I got the 6-string Warrior and then decided 6 strings really weren't for me. But yeah, that was Victor Wooten at the camp playing my bass while I moved my car. My one of my students took that picture and shared it, so it's kind of him to do that and make that available. But yeah, I'm gonna show that again. Victor Wooten playing that bass. I still have it, but that was the bass. Oh, here's a Halloween picture where I'm dressed up as a wrestler, Randy Savage, but I have the bass in that picture, so that's a good one. Good times, but that's the same bass. Okay. But yes, it's always good. But hopefully when concerts come back, you'll get a chance to meet all your heroes. Anybody that hasn't gotten a chance, and we probably won't take for granted anytime like someone really cool comes to town. We'll probably go out of our way to go see them now that we know they can get taken from us like this. So never change the strings. I have changed the strings since then, so it's too late. Sometimes you got to have. I mean, that was years ago. That was years ago. So unfortunately, I have changed the strings. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, so Martin's got some more Chick Corea stuff. Very cool. Yeah, Chick Corea is just very versatile. He plays everything. I think there's some videos of him playing with a duet thing with Hiromi, where they're going back and forth and doing stuff like that. So it's just, he puts himself in a lot of different contexts that are really, really cool. Yeah, Seth, even if we don't plan on it, you'll probably end up at some of the ones that I'm at, and we'll probably see each other around anyway, unless I end up having to play most of those nights. But I'm going to try not to take it for granted, now knowing just, how things can be taken away like that. Ooh, that's really, really high pitched. Let's see if it stayed in tune after tuning it from low. It's good to know. It actually stays in tune pretty well. After retuning it, it's still in tune. Yeah. Does the melody in? I'm trying to go through it too quick. I'm going to loop that second part of the song with the chords and just solo over for a second. Oops, that's not right. Oh, that's okay. The volume was down on this anyway. Double clicking. But yeah, so like on the Rest of Spain, it's more of like that kind of almost bossa nova kind of line, but it has a lot more variation than what I'm doing. But there's so many versions of the song, you might find one that doesn't have that and has a totally different thing. All right. Yeah, the duets with Herbie Hancock. I'm gonna have to check out more of those. I forgot that he did those. That's awesome. But yes, Chick Corea has inspired so many people. Basically anything that's considered jazz fusion. It's like if that band, if Return to Forever didn't happen, and the Chick Corea Electric Band and the acoustic band, all that stuff didn't happen, I don't think that fusion would sound anywhere near like it does. I think that pretty much that whole genre was forever changed by what he did, and not just that genre. He's done a lot of other things too, but yeah, just a phenomenal player, phenomenal writer more than anything. So just kind of listen for that stuff within the compositions, just how interesting the bass lines can be against the melody. Like I still want to go in and dive further into the Gotta Match stuff to see what happens in the rest of the song, because I'm only talking about, like, I don't know, the first minute or two, with the whole, all that stuff, and then having that bass line going against that. I mean, that's literally just the first minute or two of the song. I don't even think it's 2 minutes into the song. So, yeah, just some really, really cool stuff. And then, oh, wow, In a Silent Way with Miles Davis. Yes, there's so much of his stuff that I need to listen to, and I wish I'd listened to it earlier. And he was kind of pretty active toward the end with he was writing a book to inspire people to write and to play music, where he broke down some theory stuff in a book. I had a friend that bought it, and it was pretty cool. He was doing some cool stuff. It's a shame that we won't hear stuff written past the other day, but at least we have what we do have, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of people do a lot of really cool tributes with his music in the upcoming weeks and months. So we'll be able to remember him for forever, of course. And then he has a niche collection called Children Music. Very cool. I'm gonna try to play I guess the one that I wrote that's kind of inspired by him, just to kind of do that. I may need the sustain pedal from the piano again. Because at some point toward the end of the song, I may have to loop a whole bunch of things doing that thing, just so you can hear kind of the inspiration of the way the bass line goes against it. Okay. I don't think that's going to be a good one to loop all the way through. I'll just loop the last part just to get the idea. It's not deleting like it's supposed to. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to do the part with all the movement underneath it. So I'm going to do a lower octave version. I'm going to take away the high one. Okay. Add drums. Cool. So you can kind of hear the influence. Basically, there's a line moving in this case with the fast-paced line where everything's kind of locking in together. So that's kind of what I was pulling from there. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out tonight. It's really cool to hear how Chick Corea has affected all of you guys too, and I'm just glad that so many of you have heard a lot of his music, and that you've given me stuff to listen to on the side here too. It's just a shame, losing such a great player, but a great writer, really, great composer. So hopefully if you haven't listened to a lot of them, you'll be inspired by everybody in the chat to listen to more. And what is it? What timing is that song? That one's actually 7/8. So that's another thing. A lot of times Fusion will mix in some odd time signatures. So it's a fast 7/8 on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. All right. So I guess before I go, I'll answer a couple more questions. If you have any U-based questions, let me know. If you have a lot of questions about Chick Corea's music, I may not have the answer, but some of the other people in the chat might. But hopefully you guys learned something about the way he composes things. But yeah, that one that was in 7/8. Did you change the nut when you changed to flat wounds? I did not. This nut was intended for round wounds, and I bought these flat wounds at Uke Republic, and Mike that works there happened to have a file that it's like a round file. And I'd never used one of those before, but it's a file shaped like this pen cap basically. And so the idea is you can just file that wider. And so I just filed the groove wide enough for the string to sit in it. And I only really had to do it on the E string. So I did not change the nut when I went to flat wounds. You may want to, if you're going from rubber strings, but I'm not sure. Just kind of depends. You may want to talk to some people in the U-Based Freaks Facebook group, because that's all I had to do really to get these on here. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope you've kind of learned a little bit about some of Chick Corea's composing techniques and things. Obviously that's just barely scratching the surface. And I hope you've gotten inspired to listen to more of his music. And he's just a phenomenal player, and it's a shame that he's gone, but let's celebrate his music and let it live on, let him live on through it. But I will see you guys later. Have a good week. I've got another video coming out on Tuesday. I think I'm doing another Patreon request, and somebody requested House of the Rising Sun. So hopefully I'll have that one done in time for next week. And if not, then I might have a different video and then have it up the following. But hopefully that helps a little bit. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. And real quick, if you like to sound like Ray Brown, what U-bass would you use? Oh man, that's really tough. I'm not sure that U-basses get the kind of sounds I like. He does a lot of like slides and stuff, so I'd probably get a fretless in the first place. And then what strings would I use on the fretless? I'm thinking something like the fretless ebony might sound pretty good. Oh man, that's a tough one. To sound like Ray Brown, you got to have fretless because he scoops into a lot of the notes in a way that bends just won't do it. So you got to have that really slow, smooth slide. So I'm thinking flat wounds on a fretless might be the best way. Although the flat wounds don't sound as much like an upright, so it's kind of tough. But something where when you slide, it doesn't end up out of tune. So you just got to be very delicate with it if it's a different ones. But definitely fretless. It would have to be to get anything like his tone. All right. And John, thanks for hanging out. Seth, let's see who else. Martin. Let's see who else. Navix, if he's still here. Just everybody. I know I'm going to miss a whole bunch of people because there's just too many people to scroll through and see. Alan, Robert, all these other guys, man. Everybody on here. Thank y'all so much. Valeria. Jokke, is it? I forgot how he said to pronounce it. I remember one time we had a conversation on here. Jeff and Haunted Chronicles. Thank you everybody for making this a really fun live stream, and just for being inspired by Chick Corea. It's nice to know that all you guys know who he is. So I will see you guys next time. Have a great week, and give some more of his music a listen. Listen to more Chick Corea. Bye, guys.